black ribbon. It's a mark of respect to those who died in Omar. Teresa Recio, third in the Spanish Championships. Then English. And 2:29 is Marta Dominguez of Spain. 12.5 laps of the track. Sonia Sullivan, I would imagine with the pressure off. Having won that 10,000 metres, now going for what would be an unprecedented double. Una English taking up position on the outside, behind Sonia, who's on the shoulder of Blondie Ducret, who's the early leader, the French woman. 2:29, Marta Dominguez, Spain. Gabriela Chabot, right on the shoulder of Sonia O'Sullivan. That's Una English just moving up. What a wonderful position to be in, having already won the 10,000 metre championship, to be going for this double. Frank O'Mara.
Yeah, as we've seen in many of the distance races at these championships, it's very slow from the beginning. Only one athlete this year has broken 15 minutes for 5,000 metres. That's the Spanish athlete. And you would have expected it slow anyway, but I think under these circumstances, with so few athletes running quickly this year over 5,000, it will be quite slow. Interestingly, a couple of athletes with some good 1,500 metre speed in here. Sonia obviously run 4:01.05 this year, and Szabo's run very, very fast. Doesn't like the slow pace, goes to the front there, Szabo. But also the German girl, who was a college teammate of Sonia's, the Franziska Wollheim from Germany, has run 4:01 as well. So a couple of interesting finishes at the end here.
Well, what's Chabot up to now? She's gone into a lead, tracked by Una English and Christina de Wollheim, German champion.
Everyone suspected perhaps that Szabo would be really afraid of Sonia's finish in the last 200 metres of the 10,000. Sonia ran about 27.8 or 27.9 for the last 200, which is very, very fast. And as a matter of fact, is faster. Still has it in her legs. She just needs to find that confidence again. So I think this run is so important that she gets out there and feels really good and sort of banishes the poor experiences she's had at the last two major championships, the Worlds last year in Athens and the Olympic Games in Atlanta.
So, it was suggested earlier in the week, it would appear to be ever upwards now. So they'll beckon next year for the World Championships, and then of course Sydney 2000.
Should also be mentioned that the weather here has really been quite conducive to distance running. Looking in the paper over the last couple of days, the temperatures in Seville are somewhere around 35, 36 degrees Celsius, so at this time of year, which is going to be really quite warm. And of course Sydney should be quite warm as well, maybe not quite that bad, but it has been really nice here for the distance runners, and I think that's helped Sonia quite a bit. Watching Szabo there running on the outside of lane 2, or lane 1, excuse me. She's getting a little tired of this now. She's been out there for 8 laps in front. I don't think she's going to get any takers, especially from Sonia though.
No, indeed not. It's a championship race. It's she who wins who matters, and no favours will be done. Pace slackened somewhat. They're now on schedule for a 15:25, 5,000 metres, which is relatively leisurely. And Chabot being left out there exposed in front to do all the running.
The additional advantage for Sonia from this positioning is that one would fear with Szabo that she's got quite fast leg speed. Generally, what you expect from a shorter athlete, they can turn their legs over really quickly and they can accelerate very quickly and maybe gain 3 or 4 meters on you. Sonia and Szabo are so comparable really over the last 200 meters in terms of how quick they can run it, that she wouldn't really want to spot Szabo anything more than a meter or two. So when she's got her in front of her, she can see when she's going to go, rather than Sonia being in front and Szabo striking from behind at full speed and getting that jump. So added advantage out there of Sonia knowing what she's doing.
And now 1,600 metres to go. Sonia O'Sullivan, where she's been throughout this race, as this leading group has really detached itself now from the rest. Chabot and O'Sullivan, and now it's Marta Dominguez who's in third place. And then Yevtich, Sandel. They've dropped the German Christina de Wollheim.
One can see Sonia moving wide here again. as you move into the last 3-4 laps of a major championship race, maximum positioning is important. The fact that Sonia's been here on Jabo's shoulder for the last 8 or 9 laps is of no benefit to her if she's not there when it really counts. And when it counts, is over the last 2-3 laps. So what Sonia's trying to do here is to move out a little bit so that she makes any of the athletes behind her have to run wide to get round, and they can't block her in that way. So running very smartly here. I think she's aware they're coming to 3 laps to go. It's time for her to put her racing brain in gear and for her to strike at the time that she feels is most opportune.
Yes, absolutely. That was the point she made after the 10,000 metres, that it had been a question of running just to be there for the first, well, the large part of the race, but then when it got serious with 3-4 laps to go, then it became altogether different. It was no longer a matter of endurance, it was a race. She had to stay with them to be in position over the early phase of the race into the latter stages, and then it became a race. Almost like pursuit cycling in a way. They've got to do this, but it gets decided at this kind of pace, at this kind of stage in the race.
It's also mentally an advantage coming down from 10,000 metres where you've been through the difficulties of having to mentally challenge 25 laps of the track. All of a sudden you're running a race half the length, 12 and a half laps of the track, and it's quite mentally easier to do that having been through the longer distance.
Well, interesting, there's Josely Vlado of the European cross-country champion of last year has dropped out. So too we saw earlier Svetlana Vaigulova, the Russian champion. It may be leisurely, but it's not easy. And the distance that these 5 have put between them and the rest, with Christina da Fonseca-Volheim 60 metres behind, and a long way back to Valerie Vaughan and Una English, that really you've got to commend the class of these athletes that they have in a slow time managed to put that distance between them. And now it gets really serious with just less than 800 metres to go. It's Szabo from O'Sullivan, and then it's Marta Dominguez, the only one under 15 minutes this season. Jeftic and Sandel of Finland. Those 5 lead the race. The medals will be decided between them.
Going through Sonia's mind right now is just to see her look over her shoulder right there. Is she doesn't want anybody to come up and interrupt her race pattern here. She's where she wants to be. She feels a little crowded with all these athletes running behind her, and she wants to make sure no one gets in her way. She's focused completely on when she's going to strike or when she's going to respond to a strike from Szabo.
Now in the 10,000 metres, it was just there that she struck on the last lap. When next they're on the crowd of the bend, will she be in that position once more? The position to strike Szabo. It's going to be some wind-up for the finish. Szabo leads, O'Sullivan second. Marta Dominguez, the Spaniard, is third. And Olivera Jeftic is now moving up the outside, deciding that if she's got a chance, she's got to go now. It interrupted Sonia's stride, but she has decided to respond. This is the time, and has just burned off the challenge of the European Under-23 champion and gone in chase of Szabo. Jeftic tried to move. It was a forlorn hope on her part, and it's cost her any chance of a medal, because it's now between the 3 in front. Sandel's dropped, Jeftic is dropped. It's Szabo, O'Sullivan and Dominguez now as they go down the back straight, the decisive moments of this race. The medals surely are between these 3. They burned off Jeftic. Szabo tries to go for it. O'Sullivan responds. Szabo injecting the pace there, and Dominguez is sticking there as well. Who'd put money on whom at this point? Szabo, O'Sullivan and Dominguez between these 3 as they hit the crowd of the bend. Sonia O'Sullivan burned off Fernando Ribeiro in the 10,000 metres by going for home from this position. Can Szabo hold on? Can O'Sullivan strike? It's Szabo from O'Sullivan. Dominguez trying to come hard on the inside. O'Sullivan goes for it, and she's taken the lead. She's overtaken Szabo, and Sonia O'Sullivan is on her way to another magnificent victory. Szabo responds, but she won't do it. Sonia O'Sullivan is coming home to an unprecedented double. Sonia O'Sullivan adds to the 10,000 metre championship, the 5,000 metre championship of Europe. Only the second athlete in history to do the 5,000, 10,000 double. Sonia O'Sullivan has rewritten the history books in Budapest this Sunday evening. That is simply magnificent. Sonia O'Sullivan, 5,000 metre champion of Europe, ahead of Gabriela Szabo, and she can't believe it, but it's all for real. Back down the field, here comes Valerie Vaughan to claim her place. The sheer elegance, the sheer brilliance of what she has achieved at Budapest over the space in her first competitive 10,000 metres, Sunday evening in the Hungarian capital. Champion of Europe for the second time, effectively retaining the title that she won in Helsinki, because the 5,000 now replaces the 3,000 that there was there. It wasn't 150 to go, it was more like 100 to go, and Sonia O'Sullivan went. Szabo tried to respond, but the Romanian was destroyed by the magnificent stride of the Cove athlete. Sonia O'Sullivan is home for only the second 5,000, 10,000 double in history. The only other athlete to do it, Wang Yongxia, at the Asian Championships in 1995. What about that? That is the measure of the achievement of Sonia O'Sullivan. She is back, and back with a vengeance. Roll on Seville and roll on the Olympic Games in Sydney.
Well, certainly if she had to script this before she came here, she couldn't have scripted it better. Her run in the 10,000 was so convincing and so devastating over the last 200. I think it obviously scared Szabo into overreacting and going so quickly to the front and in putting herself in such a vulnerable position. Sonia went round, sat on her for 11 and a half laps. Then she, coming to the bell,